Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with laborers starting at $23 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for laborers, mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
It's getting nicer outside, but it's still hit or miss in the spring on golf weather. Not at Double Eagle Golf. You're home for always 72-degree weather with no wind. Book a bay with some friends for a weekend or come by for golf and happy hour on a weekday. Spring leagues are underway, but stay tuned for info on indoor golf tournaments and book your bay for after the spring game in late April. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf. Spring is a time of new beginnings and trying new things. If you haven't tried Fuhrer's cheese spread yet, the time is now. For parties for St. Patrick's Day and Easter, or celebrating the NCAA tournament with friends, there's no better dip to bring everyone together and celebrate something from Nebraska. Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Fuhrer's cheese spread. No event or party is complete without it on your table.
Join On the Block and Old School live from Scissors and Scotch on 30th and Yankee Hill on Thursday, June 6th to celebrate their grand opening. Feel better instantly with a beard trim, haircut, or a traditional shave courtesy of the experienced and professional barbers at Scissors and Scotch. Stick around after your cut and enjoy a beverage in their cozy bar area, and don't worry, there's more than just Scotch. Spend your afternoon with Scissors and Scotch at 93.7 The Ticket, live on location June 6th from 2 to 6 p.m.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown! 45 yards.
And return specialist. This time he beats the kicker and one more. DeMornay Pierson-El.
Not only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into Ticket Weeknights. This is the Dumb Punt Hour. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. As always, we got the host, DeMornay Pierson-El, streaming in. If you guys want to join in, we got Royals on the airwaves, but still on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and of course, Allo Channel 961. Always a great way to put a face to the voice, but nonetheless, we do got DeMornay Pierson-El on here. It's been a crazy sports weekend. I'm not very excited last night. T-Wolves, I didn't respond for a reason. I wasn't feeling the same way about it. But DeMornay Pierson-El, man, how's it going on this Monday night?
I'm feeling better than you.
At least it's fun basketball. I can't deny that this has been awesome basketball to watch, but I was absolutely shocked. I'm assuming that's where we want to start because that's kind of been the news of the day.
I mean, I'm fine with that. That's okay.
Okay, well, so let's talk about it, right? The Denver Nuggets, the reigning champs, they fall to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, they didn't play bad, but the fourth quarter, really, the Nuggets disappeared. It was a 20-point deficit the Timberwolves had to overcome, and they damn well did that in convincing fashion. You knew it was over when Rudy Gobert hits the turnaround fader. I don't know if I've ever seen him shoot anything close to that.
Agreed.
It looked ugly off the turn. It looked ugly off the finish, and it went right through the net. The defensive player of the year making moves over the MVP. And now we're sitting here with the Mavericks Timberwolves final. It was on the road, too. I mean, the Timberwolves had to steal that one on the road. Anthony Edwards looks good, but that was really just a very convincing team performance by the Minnesota Timberwolves. It was like top to bottom. Even Jokic calling out Mike Conley as the most underrated player, which good call. His name doesn't get called enough, and I was like, you know what? He's actually right about that one.
If he's not there, that team looks different.
Yeah.
Even when he was out with the Achilles soreness, the team wasn't functioning as smoothly. I know Ant I think had 40 that night, but still just things just differently. So they took care of business. Had me nervous. But they took the champs' best punch and beat them on their home court multiple times, which is not easy.
This has probably been the weirdest series I can think of in recent memory. Outside of any of the Heat series last season, this one, the first 4 games are all won on the road. And then the reigning champs look like they completely take over. They got a 20-point lead, and then here come the Timberwolves once again on the road. I mean, they won 3 of their 4 on the road.
Yeah.
Which is, and we've been the exact same. We've been pretty close to that for the Denver Nuggets. A weird series. Now you got the Timberwolves Mavericks, and real quick, I do got to shout out Rudy Gobert because I think a lot of people get annoyed that he keeps winning Defense Player of the Year. I thought it was kind of a toss up between him and AD, but he's plus 111 in the playoffs. His plus minus score, by far and away the best player in the playoffs right now with that plus minus rating, plus 111. Like that's just incredible for him, and that just tells you how good his defense is. But now they got the Mavericks with Luka probably playing some of his best playoff basketball he has in his career. What are you thinking about this matchup in the Western Conference? I know which way I'm going, but I'm curious to see if you think the Mavericks got a shot.
It makes me nervous because you've seen them hit their runs, and even when they their backs on the wall, they figure it out, and it's annoying. I think matching up wise, they're pretty even on certain sides. Size wise, I probably give it to Minnesota. But Minnesota is taking people's lunch. So I think it ends in 6 in favor of Minnesota. You just don't know which Luka you're going to get. And outside of Luka, you don't know if Kyrie's going to be more of assisting and giving the ball and not being steering the ship. So if you get a laid back Kyrie that's a facilitator, it might be over before you know it. If Kyrie is more aggressive and kind of taking over and taking away a little bit from Luka's numbers, and he gets 25, I think that'll make things interesting. But as long as the Timberwolves whole starting lineup and bench comes to play and they played like how they have with this last series, if they play like that, like I don't think it's going to be close. I mean, they blew out the champs. that doesn't just happen. So I definitely expect at least 2 blowout games.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be Timberwolves. This is going to be like Maverick really proves something, or Luka Doncic really proves something here for the Mavericks, or I think the Timberwolves are going to take this one away. I've always stood by the defense. If I really stood by that, I probably would have picked the Timberwolves over the Denver Nuggets because that is
you wasn't believing it. Now you can believe it. You was like, yeah, but you played them in the season, and I told you they were disrespectful. They kicked in their door and jumped on their couch.
I liked him over the Suns. Did not like him over the Nuggets, and I was shocked that it even got to I'm not shocked that it got to a Game 7, but I'm just incredibly shocked by the result. I really thought the Nuggets were going to be able to pull it through, but I was definitely wrong about how good Rudy Gobert is for that team. I mean, he just makes a world of difference.
So how do you feel about your boy Murray? You were so hot on him. So how you feel about him now?
Well, it wouldn't have mattered last night. I mean, he didn't play terrible. He still dropped. I think he had 34 points, something like that. I mean, Jamal Murray still played well, but Timberwolves credit, that's just a team performance. I mean, that's like top to bottom. Every single guy who's out there on that court was just making big plays.
I mean, Ant was giving him a problem. He got his, but it wasn't, when Ant was on him majority of the time, going under screens or going through the screens or whatnot, he was giving him a problem, and he wasn't, as efficient. He wasn't as comfortable. Once, Ant kind of switched off, or, that pick and roll situation, he got a little bit more comfortable, but Ant was a problem, and he was in his pocket the whole series.
I'm going to have a way better answer when we find out what this looks like against Luka. Because the Timberwolves, or even Kyrie Irving, the best ball handler out there live that we've probably known, at least in my generation, has got to be Kyrie Irving. Because that's what the Timberwolves love to do. you want to bring, they were attacking Jamal since game one. If you wanted to bring the ball up the court, I mean, you've seen it. Jamal's turnovers numbers reflect it. They were mugging it straight up. If you're trying to bring the ball up, and they found a way to kind of deter it. And that's how they won their next 2 games on the road. It's okay, let's just have Aaron Gordon bring the ball up, because that's kind of a nightmare for Karl-Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, to have him take the guards just out of the picture completely. But there's still times where Jamal Murray's just going to have to bring the ball up the court, and he was getting mugged. So what this looks like against the Mavericks, when you got Luka and Kyrie, 2 elite ball handlers, Kyrie being the best, in my opinion, in the playoffs right now. If they're doing this to Kyrie,
the best what?
Ball handler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about that, because that's Jamal Murray's biggest problem was he couldn't get open. Like, they were just right up on him, that trying to get to his spots, that classic fadeaway he likes to do on the mid-range. I mean, they're just shutting it down so fast. So if the Timberwolves do the same thing to Kyrie Irving and Luka, then the Celtics better be sweating, because the Celtics haven't even played a real team yet. And yes, I'm saying the Celtics because the 6-seeded Pacers, I mean, they played the Knicks.
You don't think they sweating now?
I think they
gotta go through. They gotta go through a gifted player on offense, and what they just did to the reigning NBA champs doesn't have you sweating regardless.
Yeah, I'm thinking for the Boston Celtics, you're sweating regardless. But the Timberwolves defensively, that seems like the best possible matchup that would stop the Celtics team. The team with the number 1 record is going to be, no shocker, the team with the number 1 defense out there. But the 7-footers they have inside, they're going to really just be honest. Al Horford is just not going to be much of an X factor in that game.
He can't move.
And then we've talked about it before, but Jaylen Brown's dribbling problems. We just saw what that looked like with the Nuggets. I don't even think Jamal Murray's that bad of a ball handler. And if this looks anything close with this Mavericks Timberwolves series, and the Mavericks,
who's the key in this upcoming matchup? What are the things to look out for? What does Minnesota? I mean, what does the Mavericks need to do to make things go their way?
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, get the ball across half court, and can you get in sets comfortably? I mean, it's just how are you going to work against those 7-footers? Karl-Anthony Towns, and even Anthony Edwards. He's such a great defensive player. Mike Conley doesn't get just – is your offense good enough to overcome the defense is essentially it. Because Luka, the one reason that he was third in those MVP voting was like, yeah, he'll pop off for 50, but the next game he might give you 15, 18 on like –
I think Luka's a liability, period.
He's not consistent, and then you're
learning. He's a liability. He can get you 30 on offense, but he's going to give up 30 or more. So who are you putting Luka to guard? Because any one of the 4 or the next 2 off the bench that you put in there, I mean, they can rattle off 15 to maybe 30 points, at least 15.
Yeah.
So Luka's a liability on the defensive side. Conditioning wise, I think the Timberwolves are going to speed the Mavericks up. I don't think they're going to be able to compete with their tempo and their aggression. It just depends, how the refs are going to call the game. I think that's the refs are the only thing that'll take the aggression off the top a little bit if they call in touch fouls. But I mean, honestly, they really haven't been calling a kind of a soft game. They've been letting people play and whatnot. So you got that, and then who are you putting on Ant? Because not anybody on their roster, I don't think, can do a better job than what Aaron Gordon was doing, somewhat what Murray was doing.
Yeah, you need that perimeter speed.
Or what's the CP or what he was doing. Yeah. I don't think Dallas has nobody that can match that type of intensity and still, give you 15, 20 on the opposite end. PJ's nice. He's had a solid run and everything like that, but he ain't Aaron Gordon.
No. And Aaron Gordon is he showed up that last game. He didn't really show up, but he's been critical for the Denver Nuggets. I think that's looking at the series. I mean, you're going to have to try to find a way to abuse them with small ball, try to pull the 7-footers out, see what you can cook up with Luka. What are you going to, because you're not going to find a way to kill him inside. The best way to do it is drag him out, go back inside, try to get fouls with Kyrie, Luka. I mean, if there's one thing about Luka, he's good at getting free throws. That's the way I really see it. You can't get him in foul trouble.
I think the Timberwolves might take a little bit out of the Nuggets book. Anytime Kyrie turns his back or turns over his shoulder, a trap's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Get the ball out of his hands to where even if it's the right pass or whatever, he's not doing it. Have somebody else necessarily beat you. Luka, I mean, he's not, he's gonna get his, but he's not gonna blow past you. He's not Joker with certain moves and everything like that. Honestly, he's a mid-range to 3-point. So I mean, as long as you stay in front of him and stay on your feet, you keep him under 30. I mean that's a win, honestly, for the Timberwolves, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I think that is why you see a lot of inconsistency from Luka. It's that he just doesn't get himself nearly as open as he needs to. And nights when he's feeling it, it doesn't matter because he's a big, tall guard. He's just going to shoot over you. But those nights when he's not feeling it and he just doesn't have enough speed, not enough tools in the bag to find himself a wide open look, shake guys up. Because Jokic is the best example of that. The dude's not blowing by people with speed. He is just 5 steps ahead of you. And he's creating these open looks.
I mean, but the matchups that he gets, usually the centers, he usually has a step on him, and that's honestly all he needs.
Yep.
The guards that are going to be guarding Luka, they're about his height.
Yeah.
So you may try to shoot over him or something like that. These this team, they don't care. They don't care who you are. They don't care where you come from. They're gonna out hustle you. They're gonna out grit you. They're gonna talk trash, and they're gonna get up and down the court. And that's not the Mavericks game at all. Mm-hmm. Kyrie can speed things up and whatnot and everything like that. But what happens when him and Luka be fighting for the ball?
I don't think it's going to come to that. I think those guys have actually figured it out. I still think the Timberwolves are going to win the series. No. But I think the chemistry between Luka and Kyrie, I think it's really going to have to be Kyrie's going to have to be that X factor. To me, he seems like he's probably has a chance to be the biggest mismatch issue. Just simply if they can find a way to really implement small ball and get just enough offensively to where, because again, the Timberwolves, they're a great defensive team. Offensively, they can go off, but that's your best bet is you're going to want to probably try to get them on a slower offensive night because the defense is always going to be legit. And I think you got to try to figure out a way to do it with small ball and fouls and really just pull as many bigs out as you can and attack the rim when it's open and see what you can do to Karl-Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert. But again, easier said than done because if you got a Mike Conley and Anthony Edwards on you as a guard, I mean, that's not an easy matchup either. No. I think it's probably going to come down to Kyrie Irving pulling out some vintage days because this is a tough matchup. And I really wasn't that high on the Thunder. I'm impressed they got to 4-2, but I don't think a lot of people were picking them to possibly beat the Mavericks. But this is just a whole new matchup right here. And then, I mean, how many games are you saying? I'm probably going to go Timberwolves in 6.
That's what I got.
Okay, let's talk about the East then. Let's talk about the road that was just paved for them. The Boston Celtics, they played the 8-seeded Heat. No Jimmy Butler, very important.
Lucky.
Celtics, they played the number 4 seed Cavaliers. That was probably their toughest matchup so far, and they took that one easily, 4-win. Cavs only able to steal 1, and now they got the 6-seeded Pacers. So they got an 8 seed, a 4 seed, and now a 6 seed. And again, the Pacers, not a bad team, but let's be real, Bucks without Giannis. And the Knicks, man, it was like every day another player on the injury. So now this one looks like maybe a gentleman's sweep. I don't see the Pacers have any shot in this. I mean, the Celtics are legit. They've been proving that the entire time. Indiana Pacers, 6-seeded Pacers.
I'll give them one game. I mean, okay. Everybody's been able to steal one. I'll give them one.
All right. Yeah, maybe one. If someone's having a good night, Celtics have a bad night, like it can happen.
I'm not saying that they don't match up well with them. I think both the teams are young. Mm-hmm. Both the teams can play, that speed ball up and down the court. I think the Pacers are a little bit bigger than the Celtics, honestly.
Yeah, they're definitely got some size. Pascal Siakam's always a matchup.
I mean, if they slow it down and kind of, eat the clock and, make them pass the ball, don't, give up their first shot, move the ball around and make Tatum actually earn his buckets or make him have to move the ball and push it around. I think they'll get one. I don't think the series will go to 6. I don't think it'll go to I don't think it'll go to 7. I just don't see it. The Pacers are a young up and coming team. They got a good solid roster. If the Knicks weren't as banged up, I don't think they would be in that position. And I think that's the only thing that honestly, saved them. I know, what's his name? Brunson, he went out hurt with his hand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he's out there, I don't think, that happens. So, I mean, they were the better team or whatever, they made it to the finals. I mean, that's astounding for them to get as far as they did. But, I mean, their path wasn't necessarily always the hardest. You didn't get everybody's best shot.
Yeah, this is it's going to be. They really didn't get everybody's best shot. I'll give them benefit of the doubt. Maybe they get one, but the Pacers they like to go. Defense is not their strong suit. It's been like that. That's how they got the 47 wins in the regular season. Yeah. Their offense was just better more often than not than yours. Celtics, last thing you want to do. You don't want to start a track race with the Boston Celtics. They're a way better offense than you. So this one just looks like a tough matchup. Maybe I'll give them one, but I think it's probably going to be the Boston Celtics.
If Cleveland can sneak one and Miami without Jimmy can sneak one, you telling me that they can't put together one game?
Oh, I'm sure they can. I mean,
I think the Celtics has slipped. They'll have a reminder game they might be too comfortable or something like that, and they're really not playing, or somebody will be off. They'll lose one, it'll piss them off, and then it's just a blowout from there on.
Yeah, if they happen to lose this entire series, I'll start believing the Celtics are just cursed when they get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But definitely, I mean, man, the road's been paved. 8 seed, 4 seed, 6 seed, no excuses. If you're the NBA, you got to be rooting for the Celtics hard because you're looking at your teams in here. Small market team, small market team, small market team. You got the Pacers, Timberwolves, and Mavericks. If you're the NBA, let's just be real. It's about money at the end of the day. They need Boston badly. I'm sure if it even comes close, Scott Foster will make his way down there for wherever the game's at between the Boston Celtics and Indiana Pacers to ensure it swings the right way. But let's just talk about it briefly. The Celtics, Timberwolves, because that's kind of what we're feeling out here. I think the Timberwolves got a real shot here. I wasn't that high on them, but again, they just beat the defending champs here. I really thought with the Boston Celtics, and I said this, is like if it comes down to the Timberwolves, I think Celtics win. If it's the Nuggets, I think the Nuggets beat the Celtics. Now I'm sitting here, I am utterly impressed by that defense, and I think even a team like the Boston Celtics is going to have a really hard time being consistent.
They're going to struggle.
Yeah.
Who's going to consistently bring up the ball? That's going to be an issue.
Mm-hmm. Your turnover problems, dribbling, like they're going to eat that up.
Your superstars are going to have to be on point, and even with them on point, that still might not be enough because you might have one person get off. But that they're a defensive unit. They swarm. They're aggressive. They're gonna speed you up. And who's gonna stop them on the opposite end? I think as long as Towns keeps playing the way he has in this last game, if he keeps following that up, and Gobert gets 15 points, all you got to do is just drive there and just throw it up. He'll dunk it. Like, I mean, that's simple. That's simple ball. He's taller than everybody. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you're not going to be able to stop that. I don't care. I just don't see the Celtics doing it. I don't think that matchup with them is good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to just completely sell in on it. I think the Timberwolves got a way than I initially thought, but I'm not going to scoff at that 68 win total for the Celtics either. I mean, they've been dominant, and they haven't had a real test that we can actually take a dive in these playoffs and say, like, no, look, these guys are legit. I mean, again, that's why I wanted to point that out. 8 seed, 4 seed, 6 seed. Especially if they struggle with the Pacers, then I'm really going to be leaning towards the Timberwolves way. But we have not seen the Celtics yet pushed. So it is going to be interesting. What does that look like when they actually are pushed in a series that they're on the verge of possibly losing? Or they just come out there and flat dominate, but I'm not expecting it. One more thing I want to talk about, and then we'll throw it to our first break. This one surprised me that it was even a conversation, and I heard it a few times today. Would you rather be the Denver Nuggets or the OKC Thunder next season, going forward? Both got to the second round. They both lost.
Thunder.
Maybe it is a good question. Why the Thunder? This is what blows my mind.
They're a young team. You got everybody under contract, so you know you're about to have them for the next few years. You got draft capital that you can trade some picks away and bring in a veteran talent in there to get some things mixed up and whatnot. Denver, you got some people that their stock went up over these last couple years. You remember kind of what happened with Golden State and Harrison Barnes?
Yeah, he got paid big time.
So I think Aaron Gordon is along the lines of that. He can go out and get, I wouldn't say a max contract, but he gonna get a good contract. CP he can go out and get a good contract. So these players that you have plugged in your system for kind of the years, they coming up on contract, and you can't save everybody.
Yeah.
You got Murray's contract probably coming up. You're gonna have to pay him. You're gonna have to pay Gordon. Now, if they let Gordon slide, I think that'll be the end of their run.
Well, I got it pulled up. I got pulled up right here. So next season, they're actually going to be sitting lock steady. They'll be fine. It's when they get to the 25-26 season, then that Jamal Murray comes into play. Michael Porter Jr., or actually, no, they got him until 27. They got him for a long time. But then you got KCP, 25-26, Reggie Jackson, Drew Hall. They're actually sitting better than I thought contract-wise. They're going to basically be set next year, bringing them pretty much all of these guys back. So it's going to be a bit of a repeat. But I'm with the Nuggets. I'm so surprised by people keep saying the Thunder. You have the 3-time MVP in the last 4 years. Who's the second best team in the playoffs right now to you?
Outside of the Nuggets, or like
I should say the best team because you didn't think it was the Nuggets to begin with.
I thought the best team was the Timberwolves. Period.
Boom. There's my point. So you just lost to the best team, in your opinion, to the Timberwolves in Game 7. If the Thunder are playing the Timberwolves, I don't think it's that close at all. I think the Timberwolves run over them. If it's about winning championships, the Nuggets are set up way better than the Thunder. Yes, the Thunder have the potential, but I'm taking what's right there in front of me. And you just lost to what I also probably think I maybe put the Boston Celtics up there too, because we just haven't seen them tested yet. But the best team in the playoffs in a 7-game series, I am still going to be. You got
people. I mean, I think majority of that team will come back next year, but I haven't really been paying attention to how contracts go, far as like in the NBA. And what I mean by that, like, how in the NFL, like the year before the contract is up, they pay you because if they wait the next year, it'll be even more. So I think that's a thing like in the NBA to where they pay them a year beforehand, because you just said if it is that type of situation, then next year you're gonna have to cough up some money. That way, the following year you won't have to take care of 2 and 3 people or whatnot, or you might have to trade or request something and everything like that. Those guys that's been on that team, they've been on there for 3-4 years. The dudes that's been in OKC, they're a little bit younger, year 2, maybe year 3. But I mean, they haven't really been playing all together that long. So with them being that young, I feel like longevity wise, you probably have a longer leash with them, or a longer, more sand in the top half versus in the bottom half than with the Nuggets. We've seen it time and time again after championships runs, teams go. How often do those teams stay together? Not 1 to 2 years maybe, and then the team is dismantled and reconstructed all the way up. So I think if that team does start to break away, you're probably only going to keep maybe 3 or 4 guys from there. You have 3 or 4 guys. Okay, Joker, probably Murray, and if I had to pick, I would pick Gordon. Yep. And they kind of rebrand there. But if Gordon leaves, because he gonna get top money, he gonna get top money. For him to be, for what he's done there, he can be poached somewhere else. We'll sign you 3 years, 250 M's to be with a young team. To be with a young team and be a pivotal piece. You've been to the championships games. You've been there. Now just help us. You be the centerpiece. He might want that. People might want, more things and whatnot.
All good there. But we got the morning Pierson-El sitting in the dark over there. I don't know if the screen.
I see it. I'm still here.
Okay. Sounds good. We will, in the meantime, there we go. We'll just throw it to break the morning, Pierson-El, but I want to keep this conversation going because I definitely think it's worth having. So don't go anywhere. We'll keep this conversation going right here on the Don't Punt Hour. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. And of course, the morning, Pierson-El streaming in. We'll talk to you guys in just a little bit.
Spring in Nebraska brings green grass and warmer weather, but it also brings severe storms which can cause damage to your home. Meadowlark Exterior specializes in hail, storm, and wind damage restoration, as well as roofing, siding, and gutters for commercial or residential buildings. Meadowlark Exteriors focuses on fine craftsmanship and proves that in their attention to detail. They offer free roof inspections and estimates and insurance claim assistance, serving the Lincoln and Omaha surrounding areas. Call today at 402-875-2956 or go to meadowlarkexteriors.com.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete, Husker concrete, and Beatrice concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Do you need motivation to get to the gym on the weekend or even in general? Tune into the Movement Hour each Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. Movement Academy owner Robert Kuhlman will host the show as he introduces new ways to stay in shape. The Movement Hour every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you're a homeowner or a business owner, you have a lot of projects, and no one has an unlimited budget or time. Sunbelt Rentals makes all jobs less stressful with no need to purchase large equipment or hire a crew. You can do it yourself with rentals in everything from aerators and power rakes for spring yard work to stump grinders, concrete mixers, tile saws, and more. Check out their inventory in Lincoln, north of Cornhusker Highway on 56th Street, or online at sunbeltrentals.com.
This is Coach Bill Bush. You all know my passion for Nebraska. Having coached all over the country, I can honestly say there is no place like Nebraska. You know where there's also no place like? Midwest Bank. Midwest Bank has proudly served Nebraska for over 70 years, and they're located in 9 different communities. Midwest Bank is ready, willing, and able to meet all your personal, business, and agriculture needs. Your community, your bank, and mine, Midwest Bank. Find out more at Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with laborers starting at $23 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for laborers, mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
It's getting nicer outside, but it's still hit or miss in the spring on golf weather. Not at Double Eagle Golf. You're home for always 72-degree weather with no wind. Book a bay with some friends for a weekend or come by for golf and happy hour on a weekday. Spring leagues are underway, but stay tuned for info on indoor golf tournaments and book your bay for after the spring game in late April. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back into the Don't Punt Hour. Once again, Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. Looks like we got DeMornay Pierson-El back from the Matrix. Not going to lie there for a minute, DeMornay Pierson. I don't know what happened to your computer, but it went green and then black, and then you're all frozen up. But nonetheless, we got him back on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, put a face to the voice. We left off with the NBA. Who would you rather be, the Thunder, Nuggets? I said Nuggets. You said Thunder. But yeah, I think we can probably put away the NBA for now. I want to talk about a few other things kind of in the same area as the NBA, still talking basketball. Are you surprised at all to see Caitlin Clark's struggles? And she just went out about 40 minutes ago with an ankle injury. I'm not sure what it looks like. But Caitlin Clark, from the preseason game to now actually in the WNBA regular season, struggling a little bit. Are you surprised at all to see it?
No. You going to the next level. I'm sure she'll figure it out. And you got a target on your back. Everybody, and it's not nothing, that she's not talking trash or anything like that. But the females that are in her league, and not all of them, but some of them has been, a little bit, voiceful, boisterous of, how they feel about certain stuff. And I think, I don't want to say if it's envy or jealousy or whatever, but she's had a target on her back for whatever reason, because maybe her shoe deal, maybe her Nike contract, or, maybe, she literally changed the game for everybody else in the league. And it's, you have some people that, it rubbed the wrong way. So she's going to get people's best shot. She's still been able to score. The team wasn't good, and early on she's faced, two opponents that are really, really good. Your second game she played the runners up of the WNBA. That's not easy. Mm-hmm. The team that she was on, they weren't good. So she's still trying to figure stuff out. You playing against grown women. And it's an adjustment. It'll happen. Adjustment will come. She'll get more comfortable. Her teammates will learn her. She'll learn her teammates. Her coaches will, learn her and put her in better positions to get her kind of in the rhythm until she figures it out better and understands, how she can affect the game to the highest, way that she can impact it. So I'm not surprised by it, but I don't think it'll last long.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by it either. I think of her a lot the same way when Lonzo Ball came into the league. Like the massive target on the back. Now, I'm not going to say Lonzo Ball was just as promising as Caitlin Clark, although they really did have kind of similar college career arcs where everyone's like, this is the next thing. Magic Johnson saying he's going to be a Hall of Famer. His jersey's good thing Magic Johnson got out of that business. He put a lot of unnecessary pressure. LeVar Ball didn't help, but you had the shoes. You had this massive target. Everybody's talking about Lonzo Ball. And then if you remember, I think it was game 1 or game 2, Lakers are at home. Patrick Beverley just checks the living hell out of Lonzo Ball midcourt. And Lonzo Ball is like, okay, this makes sense. Big target on my back. And he did eventually figure it out. Now, the injuries haven't helped him, but it took a long time to kind of get through that curve. I don't think Caitlin Clark's learning curve is going to be that big. No. But yeah, we can't forget that she plays for the Indiana Fever. That's just not a good team. They're not good at all. There's a reason they had the number 1 pick for a reason. They need a superstar badly. And like you said, her first games, they wanted to set those up to make it entertaining. They should have picked some worse teams for Caitlin Clark to play against for those first few games, because those are just blowouts.
I think, was it the first game or second game? She still had 20.
Yeah, she was still playing good.
So, it's like they'll be fine. And people are, like I said, like she'll be okay. You got to have her run around and catching and shooting. So if she brings up the ball, gets the play in the set, give it to somebody, and then have somebody literally chase her around, go off screens. She's, curling, pulling up, step back like that. That'll be her game until, she can do that, off the dribble and blowing by. But like I said, people are going to give her their best shot. So, I think the team that she just played with was the Liberty. That's the New York team, if I'm not mistaken. I think their best defender was like second up to defensive player of the year in their league. So I mean, like that's a good player. Like she's not playing it she's not playing just nobody. Like so she has a tall order to figure out, and yet she's still doing what she's doing. But like I said, it's an adjustment. You playing grown women, like of course they're not gonna make it easy.
Yeah, and I think people that are surprised by this had way too much faith in Caitlin Clark. Not that you shouldn't have faith in Caitlin Clark.
It's
more giving WNBA the respect it deserved, and that's kind of the thing where all these WNBA players are saying, like, guys, she's good, but we've been balling for a long time, and just nobody's noticed. And now she's still playing good, but it's clear it's way harder, and these other teams are mopping the floor with the Indiana Fever because they've always been good. And I think that's the point they've been trying to say the whole time is you guys just haven't been paying attention. We have great players on just about every team out here. So again, I'm not worried about it, but it's interesting to bring up. Let's talk about Scottie Scheffler. Did you catch the news of Scottie Scheffler prior to the PGA Championship getting arrested?
That's the golf dude, right?
Yeah, it's a bizarre story. This is off ESPN. We'll give a quick breakdown for anybody who isn't aware, but Scottie Scheffler got arrested on his way to the course because he was trying to get a workout in, I believe. So Jeff Darlington, who witnessed the incident, Scheffler was trying to drive around the crash scene on a median. A police officer instructed Scheffler to stop, but he continued about 10 to 20 yards toward the entrance. At one point, the officer would attach himself to the car and would drive for a little bit. So after about 20 to 30 seconds, Scheffler would roll down his window and talk to the officer. Immediately, the officer handcuffs him. What the hell are you doing? His whole thing was he felt like he was instructed to go around there. He didn't know there was a crash scene, and that's why he was just trying to get through because he has the pass. He was told not to wait and just go ahead. But it just seems like a BS case. Scottie Scheffler, is there any sort of guilt you can put away from him, or is this just a dumb move? I mean, when a police officer tells you to stop, just stop. I don't care what you've been told prior.
It's a dumb move on him. Like
people are defending it. I had to ask.
Drunk? Were you impaired? Like were you just thinking you were bigger than what the situation was? And so I mean, like it is what it is. Just say you admit you was in the wrong. Don't try and beat around the bush. Like, come on, bro. Like the dude's right in front of you, and you telling me you didn't see him. Somebody hopped on your car and you didn't feel it.
He saw it. I mean, it's just like he just didn't want to stop. It's an absurd case, and people are
a bold-faced lie to the whole world.
Yeah. Well, the fact that at one point he looks over at Darlington and says, "Can you get me out of this?" And the police officer in the quote says, "You're going to jail, right? And what are you talking about? No, you just blew by me, and I had to attach myself to the car to get you to stop. No, he's not going to get you out of this." That's kind of like you said. I think yep. You think you're bigger than the situation itself. And the reason that they had traffic stopped was because there was a fatal car crash. And yes, fatal because someone died pretty much instantaneously. So just a stupid move when a cop on the roadside very clearly in a bright neon jacket's telling you to stop your car.
For a reason.
There's no excuses. Just a dumb move. Yeah, you can try to defend it. It's crazy that people are even trying to, but that's the scoop on it in case you missed it. Scottie Scheffler arrested prior to the PGA Championship in just a really bizarre way because, no, I didn't see anything about him being drunk, inebriated, nothing. He was just...
Well, I'm just happy nobody got shot.
Yeah, well, that's that part. I mean, we've seen enough of that going on around the world. We don't need more things for everybody to freak out about on social media. I'll put it that way. We've hit a little bit of a calm space. We got
you didn't have a driver? Like,
he was driving to get a workout in, and he just didn't want to stop.
Not another way, like it would have took you maybe 5 extra minutes to go around. Like, that's just him being who he is and him thinking, he can get out of the situation of what it may have been, but it ended up causing things to be worse than what it was.
Yeah, before we go to break here, I want to see if I can find the part where they tried to defend it here. Okay, so we got it right here.
What's the defense? You're not in a rush. You're doing something for your own personal leisure time. It wasn't anything required by the tour or anything like that, a signing or something. You weren't in a rush. You just didn't want to. You didn't want to follow instructions.
Here's the defense. All right. And this is from Steven Rooms. He was going to Valhad's workout. He was getting ready for his tea time. They were directing traffic. He held his credential out and was going in like they'd been instructed to. Apparently, there had been a traffic accident. Not apparently, there was a traffic accident. Maybe even a fatality. Yes, there was a fatality down the road. And that had changed traffic patterns, and he was unaware of that.
A lot of people were unaware of it. You're not going to be. So where the body cams at? Let's see the body cams of the officer.
That'll change the story a lot.
Just release the body cams, and then you'll recant your sentence on what you said. You'll settle and pay whatever fines you got to do, and move on with the thing. At the end of the day, you were wrong. You made a situation that didn't have to be like that way worse than it was. You could have went on about your day. You might have been, a few minutes late to what you needed to do, but it's come on now,
Yeah, you're essentially saying there was just
you were going to practice, correct? Was he playing in that tournament that same day?
No, it was the night he was going just for a workout. I think this was the night before.
All right, then. So it's
could be wrong on that. That might have been the morning of the night before. I didn't quite get that detail, but it's insane, right? It's like, well, I didn't know, so therefore
you're not gonna draw the window down and come up to you and tell you, hey, oh yeah, somebody passed away, so you can't come through here. No, it's an accident. Follow directions of the traffic.
Yeah, it's just insane. The fact that part was even in there.
You kept going forward, and the officer literally had to jump on your car. I've never seen that. And you're saying he told you to do that? Come on now.
Yeah, he was saying I was instructed with the credentials to flash them outside the window and just ignore everybody, even police officers, because I have my credentials. Just insane. Had to bring it up.
Situations like that, I don't like that. That's what I said. I'm surprised he didn't have a driver.
It'd make a lot more sense. At least the driver would probably realize, hey, when a police officer says stop, just stop the car.
You wouldn't have got in trouble. You would have been in the car that it happened to, but nothing would have happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you probably just would have stopped like you're supposed to too if somebody else was driving. Somebody else was responsible and just listen. It was just insane. And I had to bring it up. Since we're already kind of going over on time here, we're streaming only. We'll just keep it live until we wrap up our show here. A few other things I want to talk about. Have you been keeping up with this lawsuit that's been going down for the NIL, the NCAA versus the House antitrust lawsuit, and what they're trying to do to these mid-major conferences like the Ohio Valley, the SWAC? I'm blanking on the other ones right now, but it's gross.
The Mountain West type stuff.
Yeah, Mountain West.
A little bit, not too much. I know it's like 2 lawsuits that are out with like the NIL stuff.
Okay, so we'll since this one we're not gonna throw it to break, and we'll try to summarize this up. It's pretty gross. So this is it's projected to be about $2.8 billion. The House versus NCAA seeks back pay for Division I college athletes who were barred from earning name, image, and likeness (NIL) compensation prior to the NCAA changing its policy in the summer of 2021, while also pursuing a cut of future broadcast revenues for athletes at power conference schools.
So this is for everybody before they changed the rule.
It's to pay the athletes.
Yeah, everybody before 2021, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, pay them.
Yep, and this is right. This sounds like a good story, right? It's like, yeah, we're doing the right thing. We're getting these guys paid. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. It's when you figure out how they're going to do it and how they're going to pay them. It's not the Power 5 schools. It's not the NCAA. It's the 27 other conferences that are going to get killed on this. So to break it up, it's about $2.8 billion. That's what they owe. And a lot of this money, how they came up to that money, it really came down to about Power 5 football and men's basketball were the overwhelming majority of damage tied to broadcast revenue attributed to the Power 5 football and basketball. Okay, so the Power 5 school. So it makes sense. LSU making money off of Joe Burrow, not paying. You're making all this money. It's Power 5 schools. LSU is the one cashing the check. NCAA cashing the check because they're getting the revenue from the sport itself. So they should likely pay about 90% because it's you or the guys making all the money off it. The NCAA can pay the other 45, however you want to split that, 45, 45, whatever. And then those other 27 school conferences can probably front that other 10%. At most 10%, because I don't even think it's that high.
And even they're where they are for that reason. Like they don't have the type of revenue, income, and whatnot. So yeah, That's sick.
And this is from the Indy Star. So there was a settlement negotiated in secret, how they're going to come up with this money. And NCAA Board of Regents and Power 5 commissioners. The other 27 conferences, they're not allowed. They had no idea this was going down. This was all in secret. So this proposed bill and how they want to pay for it is...
How can y'all loop us into something and not include us in the meeting? We don't. That sounds like a dictatorship.
Yeah, it sounds like the NCAA, not always doing the best work out there. So places like the Big Sky, Ohio Valley, and Schwack didn't find out about the proposed settlement and the nearly $1 billion contribution until about 2 weeks after the deed was all but done. So they weren't even really involved and they had no idea. So the way this breaks out, and I'm trying to get the numbers on this and how much they would have to be paying.
How I put my name in the hat to get this check. That's easy money. I'll take that.
Well, they just don't want to take the damages. They want to make everybody else pay for it, right? Like screw where the NCAA is going to be hurting. As they should.
The thing about it is, like, between the Power 5, you can say, each school, depending on whatever, a percentage from these universities over the next 3 years or whatever to pay it. The NCAA, y'all responsible for this over the next 3 years. Like, this is, what you pay X, Y, and Z to knock it out. You don't got to pay all that up, at front and whatnot. But people don't want to pay. So if there's a way to push it to somebody else, they're going to do it.
Yep. And it's going to be, if this goes through, this is the proposed settlement. Starts with the NCAA agreeing to pay 41% of the $2.8 billion. Okay, that's fair, right? That makes sense. You pay 1.5. Then the Power 5 school should probably kick in, or the NCAA pay even more. But that's 41% of the settlement is about that $1.15 billion. That's going to hurt the NCAA. Don't get me wrong.
They'll make it back.
Yeah, they'll make it back over time. But it's the part where they're dumping all of it. The 60-40 split is going to be going to the 27 other conferences.
And so how much is the Power 5 paying?
So the Power 5 responsible for about the other. So the NCAA side, they're going to pay about half of it.
You said
and then break down the last billion. So the Power 5 are proposing a 60-40 split to come up with the other half.
And they take the 40?
And they take the 40 because there's only 5 of them. That's diabolical.
Schools can still bring more revenue than all the other 27.
So how this is the bill they put out. So the NCAA, they'll front like the first 41%, and then it's the Power 5 and the other 27. The Power 5 wants to pay for 40% of that second half, $660 million. They want to make the other 27 conferences pay $990 million. Indiana State, Georgia, those programs are dead in the water. They don't have that money.
All these schools' legal department it's about to be ugly for them. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at the NCAA or the Power 5. They're bigger, better. We don't care. This is how it's gonna be, and it's sad that it's like that. Hopefully, it doesn't end up being like that. And, between the NCAA and the Power 5s, hopefully they cough up, more, even if, everybody else pays 10 to 15%. That's better, but you might be putting universities out of work. Like, they might be cutting people's
100% out of work.
Salaries and whatnot. Like, that's
cutting programs. That's programs dying. Indiana State dead. They're not going to last. Georgia Southern dead. That's what's so upsetting about this. Because at the beginning, that's what I said about, they figured out it's about 90% comes from Power 5, men's football, men's basketball. Okay, 90%. That's the money we're talking about. And about 90% of it goes to you Power 5 schools. That's why I said 10% makes sense for the 27. They can figure out a way to come. And that's still a lot of money, 10%.
Yeah.
But a lot better. But instead, what you're trying to do is somehow put more blame on them, even though you were the one that made all the money, and you're going to make them pay for it. It's disgusting. It's diabolical. And like you said, there's going to be some lawyers with some busy weeks here. And this might actually happen. I mean, this might be done by the end of the week. And
no, that's not there. It ain't going like that. It ain't. Now that maybe before the word got out, it might have been finalized or whatever. Like, yeah, it could have, but now that stuff is out and whatnot, oh no, it ain't in the court of law. That ain't finna go down. No.
Yep.
They'll hook way more. Those schools can sue the NCAA and Big Ten and probably get even more out of this. They don't want them problems. It's just, it's about to be a whole lot of counter negotiating, counter offering, and this and this and that. And then in about, where we at? We in what, May?
Yeah, May 20th.
Somewhere in August or whatnot, they'll get it figured out or situated. It'll be done by December. Come January, this is what it is. It's locked and finished, and they start pushing it out. That's how it's going to go.
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right, because this is dialogue.
That's crazy, though. It's literally you are keeping all the money and still not taking, for what your part in things. And the money that you putting in there, that probably won't even still hurt your pockets.
No. It'll hurt, but not like these other programs are going to have to shut down teams.
With the playoffs going to 12 teams in football, that's going to bring a whole lot of more money. So 2 years of that, you got at least over half of what you just gave away back. You got March Madness, which is, absolutely crazy. You got that every year. So 2 years of that, I mean, you're going to profit. You're going to profit at least, half of that or a little bit over a quarter of that in 1 year. Or, you get two sports, you get a quarter from each sport. That's halfway right there in 1 year.
Yeah. Don't make their money back. I mean, that's why we have to talk about it, right? Because the more and more people need to know about this. Because just to sum it all up, so the other 27 conferences, is part of this other $1.65 billion that the NCAA would front 41%. And then you got to figure out this other chunk, and that's where they split that 60-40. So the 27 conferences pay the 60%, $1.65 billion, not to mention the share of the $1.15 billion mentioned in the first bullet point. So that's still not accumulating everything for the athletes who stood to earn roughly 10%. They're not even going
to have money for scholarships.
No, their programs are going to be dead in the water.
That's why those mid-major schools play the bigger university. Like, they get paid to come take a whooping almost. I mean, half of the majority of the time. So it's like, no, come on, man. That's not be reasonable.
Yep.
It can't go down like that. That's whoever's pulling the strings or whatnot. I don't know if it'll come out or get to it, but I mean, I understand things are, the world is a business place, but that's just flat out wrong.
Yeah. I mean, if this goes through, it'll come down to at least $2 to $3 million a year across those conferences for the next 10 years.
You cutting out scholarships, you cutting out dreams.
Chancellor Brewington, we just had him on before you. He's one of those mid-major guys that eventually made his way to Power 5, but that's so many players' stories coming up, and they might just not exist because the money's just getting sucked out of them. I had to bring it up. We got to wrap it up here. DeMornay Pierson-El, but it's just disgusting. It's not surprising, but I think it even hits a new level of disgust, what they're trying to pull away here.
Yeah.
The secret meeting, having all of this kind of being thrust at the last minute, and now they're sitting there. It's already going to
this long for it to come out. I knew about the lawsuit. I didn't know about this meeting and everything like that. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, this 60-40, how they're trying to split this up is all kind of coming out now. It's gross. And
their math is all wrong.
Yeah, the math doesn't add up, to say the very least. But that's going to wrap it up for us. Shout out to DeMornay Pierson-El. Make the time, as always, for streaming in. Harrison Arns on the 1s and 2s. But don't go anywhere. We'll keep it rolling. We will have Speed and Power up next. We'll keep them rolling here on Ticket Weeknights. Talk to you guys in a little bit.
Spring is a time of new beginnings and trying new things. If you haven't tried